Today, on Monday the 17th of August, 2026, we are looking at a case that should make every crypto user pause. Documents published by Reuters and CoinDesk show that Binance handed Russian authorities client details that were then used to charge an IT specialist named Yuri Belenkiy with financing terrorism. The alleged crime was not money laundering on a massive scale. It was a cryptocurrency donation worth around $700 to Ukrainian fundraising campaigns. According to the reports, that donation has now landed him in a Russian jail. Let that sink in. $700, a single act of support, turned into a national security case because the exchange held the data and released it. This story is not just about one man. It is about the power that centralized exchanges have over your financial history and your freedom. What has changed today is the documentation. Reuters, CoinDesk and other outlets have obtained records showing that Binance handed over the transaction data last year, in 2025. That detail matters because Binance publicly announced its exit from Russia back in September 2023 and said it sold its Russian business to an exchange called CommEX. Many users assumed that leaving the market meant leaving the data behind. These documents suggest the opposite. The transaction history stayed accessible, and when Russian investigators asked for it, Binance appears to have provided it. This was not live operational data from a Moscow office. This was historical user data, retained after the exit, and later used as evidence. For anyone thinking that closing a local entity removes legal risk, this case proves that the past can follow you. The obvious question is why? Binance is not a Russian company, so why hand over data to Moscow? The uncomfortable answer is that global exchanges operate under a patchwork of laws, and refusing a government request can mean losing access to that country, or facing penalties against staff and partners. Reuters has previously reported, back in April 2022, that Binance built ties to a Russian agency linked to the FSB. That reporting showed the relationship was not new. Exchanges also hold enormous amounts of Know Your Customer data, transaction logs and wallet addresses. Once that data exists, it can be compelled. The choice for a company like Binance is often between quietly complying or fighting a legal battle in a foreign court. In this case, the data was handed over, and the evidence was used to build a terrorism financing case. Some might call this a one-off mistake. The evidence says otherwise. The same Reuters investigation from 2022 found that Binance worked with Russian authorities in ways that raised serious privacy questions. Just 3 days ago, Binance was also reported to be restricting transactions with certain Russian crypto platforms. That might sound like a contradiction, but it is not. Restricting some platforms while cooperating with law enforcement shows an exchange trying to manage Russian risk on multiple fronts. It wants to control which Russian entities use its services, but it still answers to Russian legal demands for customer information. The pattern is one of selective compliance, not blanket privacy protection. That is a crucial distinction for users. This comes at a real human cost. Since the war began, cryptocurrency has been used to send millions of pounds to Ukrainian causes because it is fast, borderless and often seen as private. But for a donor inside Russia, that same speed and traceability can be used against them. A $700 donation is now being described in court as financing terrorism, a charge that carries extreme penalties. The message to anyone inside Russia, or anyone with an account tied to a centralized exchange, is clear: a small act of charity can be politically reclassified as a crime. That will deter some donors, slow fundraising, and push Ukrainian groups toward harder-to-trace methods. The humanitarian cost is real, and it is happening now, not in a hypothetical future. There is a widespread belief that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are anonymous. This case destroys that belief. The blockchain itself is public, meaning every transaction is visible forever. The only thing protecting you is whether your real identity can be connected to your wallet. When you use a centralized exchange like Binance, you hand over your passport, your address, your bank details and your transaction history. That makes the connection trivial for any government that can legally demand it. Privacy is not a feature of the technology when you are using a custodian. Privacy depends on who holds the keys and whose laws they must follow. For most users, that truth is uncomfortable. Looking ahead, expect this story to drive regulatory and market reactions. European and UK regulators may ask whether Binance and other exchanges have clear rules about sharing data with foreign governments. Some users will shift toward non-custodial wallets, where they hold their own private keys. Others may move to decentralized exchanges that do not collect personal data in the same way. Binance may issue a statement, but the documents speak for themselves. In the near term, the reputational damage is likely to push privacy-focused tools and self-custody education into the mainstream. The irony is that a $700 donation may end up changing how millions of people think about exchange security. If you take one thing from this story, make it this: an exchange will prioritize its legal survival over your privacy. It does not matter what the marketing says. When a government applies pressure, centralized platforms have the data and can hand it over. The only way to control your financial privacy is to control your private keys yourself. That means learning about self-custody, understanding which transactions truly need an exchange, and treating every deposit with a centralized platform as a potential disclosure. What happened to Yuri Belenkiy is not an abstract warning. It is a live example of how a small, well-meaning donation became a terrorism case because of data held by Binance. The question is no longer whether exchanges have your information. The question is who can make them give it up.